Hello and welcome to the Scoreboard. Happy Friday to everyone. It is Friday when you guys are hearing this. This episode of the Scoreboard is pre-recorded. We are not live in studio, so no phone calls today. Also, there is always the chance, as I say every time we do a pre-recorded show, that some of the information I'm talking about right now could be out of date by the time you guys hear this on Friday afternoon. Nevertheless, though, we are going to talk about all things sports for the next hour. We had a big day in football last night as the schedules were announced for all 32 NFL teams. And it looks like the Carolina Panthers are going to be back in some prime time action after a year where, well, they didn't see much primetime action at all. So we'll talk about the schedule release. We'll go over some games. I'm not going to do my season prediction yet. That we still got a whole summer to get through before we do that. We also have some other NFL news. This could be really, really interesting regarding the Olympics and flag football coming to the Olympics in 2028. We'll see what that's all about a little later on in the show. Also, as always, we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. Right now, as I am recording this, it is round one, day one of the PGA Championship from Quail Hollow down in Charlotte, so PGA Championship in our backyard. We also have some more things to talk about with baseball, with this bat. Apparently, people are still mad about the bat, and I don't understand it. You look at the MLB standings right now, and yeah, I mean, you can kind of deduce that maybe the Yankees are using the bat a bunch, but they're actually not doing all that great. As far as the rest of the league as well, winning percentages in general, I feel like, are down a little bit this year in Major League Baseball. Right now, the Detroit Tigers are the best team in the league with a 29-15 record. They are 8-2 in their last 10 games, going on an absolute tear. You also have the New York Mets up there for best record. The Dodgers are hanging in tight for the best record in baseball. But I'll tell you what, it's interesting where these records stand right now. 29-15, that's pretty mediocre if you ask me. And a winning percentage of .659. So some interesting things going on in the world of baseball as well. But let's go ahead and start things off with your Carolina Panthers. The 2025 schedule has been released. We have 3 preseason games. 2 of them are going to be at home, while one of them is on the road. So starting at the beginning of August 8th at 7 o'clock, the Carolina Panthers will play preseason game number 1 against the Cleveland Browns. August 16th, they'll be on the road for a 1 o'clock game against the Houston Texans. And then on August 21st, the final preseason game, a home game against the Steelers. That is a 7 p.m. kickoff. Also, we move into week 1. The Carolina Panthers will kick off their season on the road. 2 games on the road, actually, to start things off. Week number 1, September 7th, first week of September. Jacksonville Jaguars will be hosting your Carolina Panthers for game 1, week 1. Week 2 will be on the road again against the Arizona Cardinals for a 4:05 kickoff. Then the Panthers finally get to come home, play at Bank of America Stadium. It will be a division opponent for that first home game, playing the Atlanta Falcons on September 21st at 1 o'clock. Immediately back on the road after that, heading up to New England for a 1 o'clock game against the Patriots. That is week 4. Weeks 5 and 6, back-to-back home games for the Panthers. Week 5 is going to be against the Dolphins. That's a division opponent. 1 o'clock kickoff. And week 6, the Dallas Cowboys come to town again for a 1 p.m. kickoff. Week 7, Carolina heads on the road, go to play the New York Jets for a 1 o'clock kickoff. Then October 26th, they host the Buffalo Bills. Now, all these kickoffs, pretty much all of them, are 1 o'clock. On the road for week 9 against the Green Bay Packers, and then we go back home for week 10 against the Saints. Back-to-back road games again for weeks 11 and 12 as the Falcons will host the Panthers, and then the 49ers will host the Panthers in week 12. This is a Monday Night Football game. Yes, the Panthers on Monday Night Football will be playing the San Francisco 49ers. Then the Panthers come back home. They host the Chargers on November 30th for a 1 o'clock kickoff before going into week 14, which is the bye week for the Carolina Panthers. A very, very late bye week this year. I mean, they only have 4 games on the schedule after their bye week. So here's the thing. If they're in playoff contention, that's nice. That's great. You get a bye week late in the year, rest some guys, get healthy before the final 4 games of the year. Those final 4 games are going to be very big, 3 of them being against division opponents, 2 of them being against the same division opponent. So week 15, December 14th, on the road against the New Orleans Saints, that would complete the season versus the Saints. Then in week 16, at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a 1 o'clock start. Week 17 will also be a home game. We'll host the Seattle Seahawks. Start time for week 17 to be determined. And then week 18, the Carolina Panthers end the season against none other than the division opponent, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also, start time to be determined. Home opener, week 3. That's also the first division game of the year. They head to the Big Apple for a game against the Jets. And we also have the opportunity for the flexing of schedules. So all of these times that I've told you are to be determined, really, because who knows, maybe if the Panthers and the Buccaneers are both really good, fighting for the division late in the year, maybe that week 16 game could become a Sunday night game. Maybe week 18, with it being to be determined, could become a Sunday night game. Who knows? But right now, the only primetime game the Panthers have is on Monday, November 24th, week 12, where they host the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to head to our first commercial break of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot more to talk about on this Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. You are listening to The Scoreboard, proudly presented by the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back right after this. Gentlemen, happy Friday to everyone. You're listening to The Scoreboard, proudly presented by the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. Season begins at the end of the month, so make sure you get down to Huntersville. Check out what they got going on over there. We are in the second segment here of The Scoreboard. Back in the first segment, we went over the Carolina Panthers and the schedule release that we had yesterday. All 32 teams had their schedules released yesterday. Now, some of it was already known, as what always happens is games get leaked, but there is quite an extensive list of international games. No international games for the Panthers this year. They are on primetime Monday Night Football for 1 game this year, which, hey, that's pretty good. They're on primetime again. Good to see. We're going to move a little bit in a different direction here and get into the NASCAR Cup Series because there's a lot going on. Yesterday, it was announced that RFK Racing's number 17, Chris Buescher, would be penalized. So after the race at Kansas, NASCAR assessed an L1 level penalty to the number 17 RFK Racing team. During inspection at the R&D Center in Concord, series officials discovered that the 17 car was in violation of section 14.1.c, which covers overall assembled vehicle rules, and 15.4.5g, which is the front bumper cover of the rule book. According to NASCAR, the team went over the maximum reinforcement allowed for its front bumper cover. The penalty: 60 championship points, 5 playoff points, $75,000, and crew chief Scott Graves will be suspended for the next 2 races. That includes the All-Star race this weekend and the Coca-Cola 600 next weekend. Buescher finished 8th. Nice top 10 for him at Kansas. Before the penalty, he was 12th in the standings, but now, after this penalty, Chris Buescher has dropped to 24th in the Cup Series standings. That moved Ryan Preece from -7 to +14, and now Kyle Busch is the first driver out at -7. Overall standings so far, Kyle Larson still leads the way with 3 wins on the year, 8 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. He's got the most of all drivers in top 5s and top 10s. He's also tied with Christopher Bell for the most wins on the year so far. William Byron, 35 points behind Kyle Larson, followed by Christopher Bell, who's 85 points behind him. Now, the gap from first to second is 35. The difference in stage points between Larson and Byron is 21. So, yes, stage points do matter, but also finishing position matters a little bit more, at least in my opinion. One thing that's really interesting, that if you take a look at it, Kyle Larson has led 817 laps this year. He's up to 23 playoff points. He has led more than double the next closest driver has led laps. That would be William Byron, who's led 386 laps this year. He also has the most playoff points already with 23. We're 12 races in. We're getting close to the halfway point. Charlotte will mark halfway, but with 23 stage points, playoff points, Christopher Bell is second on that list with 16. So a pretty good head start here for Kyle Larson once the playoffs do begin. And remember, we still got half a year left, half of a regular season to go. He can rack up the playoff points and be well on his way to another Championship 4 appearance. But this weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series, we are at North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. Yes! Exciting. Okay, let's go over a few things for the All-Star race so you know what to expect. Obviously, we have things going on at the track all weekend, including Saturday. There's going to be some heat races on Saturday. And then Sunday, all of the festivities will kick off. We have the All-Star Open, which will be a 100-lap race with a competition break at or near lap 50. 3 drivers will advance, the top 2 finishers, so win and second place. The third driver to get in will be the fan vote winner. So they still do the fan vote. Don't forget about that. Qualifying is going to be a little bit revised this year. So the open drivers will be in a combined qualifying session with the pit crew challenge. So it's going to be a 3-lap qualifying effort. Will include a mandatory 4-tire pit stop on the second lap. And the total time will set both the open and the 60-lap heats. So keep that in mind. Obviously, the heats are going to determine who starts where for the actual All-Star race, but we do have the qualifying for the heat races and for the open races. So we do have qualifying still. Drivers eligible. Anybody who won a points race last year or this year. Anybody who has won the All-Star race and is a full-time driver. And anybody else who has won a championship and is a full-time driver. Drivers already eligible. Here we go. Alphabetical order. A lot of B names. We got to get through the B names. Bell, Berry, Blaney, Bowman, Briscoe, Busher, Burton, Bush, and Byron. Then we have Chastain, Cindric, Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Hamlin and Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Reddick, Stenhouse, and Daniel Suarez. Those are your eligible races or racers for the All-Star race. Now, obviously, we're going to have the open race, so 2 more people will be added to the list, plus the fan vote, so a total of 3 more will be added to that list. I'm excited. I do enjoy North Wilkesboro. I think it is a fun race and a fun time to be able to watch that. The All-Star Open will be at 5:30. We expect the actual All-Star race to begin around 8 o'clock. Now, one thing about the All-Star race that you're going to have to keep in mind this year, it is 50 extra laps than what it was last year. Last year, it was 200. This year, it's 250. We also have a competition break at or near lap 100, which is going to happen no matter what. We're going to have a caution. We also have the opportunity for a promoter's caution. Basically, NASCAR can decide to throw the caution, even if there isn't a reason for it. Basically, a competition caution. There are parameters for which this caution can be thrown, though. So, if that yellow flag is going to be thrown, it has to be thrown before lap 220, and it cannot be used if we get a natural caution after lap 200. So I would expect around lap 200, we're going to get a promoter's yellow, and it'll be a nice 40-lap shootout or something like that, depending on, 50-lap shootout, because the caution laps are not going to be counting during the All-Star race. I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen anything specifically that says the All-Star race caution laps will not count, but that's what it's been in the past, so I'm going to assume that we'll probably get like a 50-lap shootout at the end of this event. But I'm excited. The All-Star race coming up this Sunday from North Wilkesboro. And I am a little disappointed in NASCAR because we heard a little bit of talk with Denny Hamlin, Dale Jr. on their podcasts for Dirty Mo Media that NASCAR toyed with the idea of a run what you brung, which would mean the rule book gets thrown out the window. You can do whatever you want to the car, just bring it to the racetrack. They decided not to do that, which I guess makes sense, but I want to understand why they didn't pivot to, okay, well, let's do something different. Let's find something to change to maybe change the short track package. Now, obviously, if you remember, we've been running at places like Phoenix, at places like Martinsville, Bristol, the softer compound tire, which wears out a lot quicker. I believe that's the tire that NASCAR is going to bring to the All-Star race. So that'll be nice to see, is a little bit of tire wear, maybe some drivers coming and going, as we used to be able to see all the time. Also, with that tire change, I do expect us to have an interesting race. I do expect there to be comers and goers, but just something to keep an eye on is how those tires last. We saw tire issues at Kansas this weekend where, hey, Kyle Larson coming out of turn 4 on the final lap, there's rubber flying off of his car and his tire is about to go away. So maybe we get some interesting things there. The All-Star race this Sunday, the Open 5:30, the All-Star A little bit later, it's going to be at 8 o'clock. We're going to head to our next commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We do still have a great show for you. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. We're going to talk about the NHL playoffs, so don't go anywhere. We're back after this. To the Scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. We are halfway through the program today. Scoreboard proudly sponsored by the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. Season begins at the end of the month. Go down to Huntersville, check them out. I will be there. I'm going to be throwing a first pitch a little bit later in the season. That'll be fun. June 11th. Come on down. Hang out with me. As I start the segment, something just flew into my eye. So we're going to try to deal with this while we do the next segment, although I can't really see out of my left eye right now. Now, like I said, this show is pre-recorded today. Normally, you could just say, all right, let's try again, get it out of your eye, we'll restart. No, we're not doing that. We're going with it. Whatever happens, happens on the scoreboard, all right? We're going. We're going to talk some NHL, hockey, Carolina. Hey. I'm still nervous. I still don't know if the goaltending is going to be able to hold up through the playoffs. But boy, if this isn't one of the best chances that Carolina's had to go to the Stanley Cup final. Now, I think I said it. I don't know if I said it on the show or not, but I know I've talked about this before. I did not think that the Capitals were going to be a real threat in the playoffs. Yeah, obviously they get through round one. That was round one. All right, Montreal, congratulations to them for making the playoffs, but it was more of a ceremonial, okay, you're the last team in. Kind of like what happened to the Capitals last year. They were the last team in. They got swept. Nobody really thought anything about it. Now the Capitals are really good in the regular season, but something about that team, and I'm not sure what it is, they never felt threatening to me. And Carolina has been able to expose them. The Hurricanes boast a 3-1 series lead as tonight, as I'm recording this, game number 5 between the Hurricanes and Capitals in Washington, D.C., Capitals are the underdogs at home. So that tells you about all you need to know about what people think of the Washington Capitals. Puck drop, 7 o'clock. Doesn't really matter for you guys because this game will have already happened by the time you're hearing the show. I'm going to make a prediction and say that you guys watched Carolina lose game number 5 and have to clinch it in game number 6. That's my prediction. Is that what I want to have happen? No, not necessarily. But that's what I think is going to happen. I do believe Carolina will not be able to clinch the series tonight, and we'll probably see them come back home Saturday for a game 6. If needed, game 6 will be on Saturday, and game 7 would be on Monday. So that is an as needed. We don't have a start time. I don't know what channel it's going to be on. I do know game 7 would be on ESPN, but that's about it. Other than that, I do not have more information for you guys. Last night, for me at least, watched the Edmonton Oilers beat the Vegas Golden Knights in overtime, a 1-0 final. That game went into overtime 0-0. Not for lack of high quality opportunities, but the goaltenders just played really well. And one thing I noticed about this game is the lack of shot attempts. I mean, you look at the total shots in that game, it was pretty low. Almost like nobody wanted to make a mistake. Nobody wanted to really push. Well, you get into overtime, it's time to go. We got to score a goal. And Edmonton, pretty early in the overtime, was able to get that done and win. They take down the Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games and move on to the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row. Their opponent will either be the Winnipeg Jets or the Dallas Stars. Now, the Jets and the Stars will play later on tonight, game number 5 in Winnipeg, but the Stars are up 3-1 in this series, kind of like the Hurricanes. Actually, exactly like the Hurricanes in the Capitals series. The lower seed has taken a 3-1 series advantage. So how about that for the Dallas Stars? And Dallas is a team, man, if I'm Edmonton, if I'm Florida, Toronto, Carolina, I don't want to see Dallas in the Stanley Cup. I really don't. They have the goaltending advantage over everyone. They have depth. They have high-skilled scoring. They have a great defense. That might be the team to watch. The only thing that can throw them off path is Edmonton. I don't believe Winnipeg's going to come back from this 3-1 deficit. Connor Hellebuck, I don't know what happened to him, but he just has not been the same player that we've come to know. It's not impossible for Edmonton to overthrow Dallas, but it's going to be hard. I mean, look, McDavid and Draisaitl, I think they only had a combined 3 goals in the series against Vegas. So if the Vegas Golden Knights goal scorers actually started scoring in that series, we would probably be going to a game 5, a game 6, maybe even a game 7. But because Vegas's goal scorers went cold, Edmonton was able to skate by most of those games. That's why they got the 4-1 series win. If McDavid and Draisaitl are McDavid and Draisaitl that we know, Dallas might be in trouble. And we saw, yes, McDavid and Draisaitl, just those 2 guys, can carry Edmonton to the Cup Finals. They did it last year. And then McDavid basically almost single-handedly brought the team back from a 3-1 deficit. Absolutely insane. But I would say right now the favorite is going to be the Dallas Stars, followed by Florida because they are the defending Cup champions. Then I'd say Carolina is probably next on that list. I don't have the odds pulled up in front of me. I could try to do that for you guys if you'd like, but right now I don't have them. You know what? Let's go ahead and bring them up because I know I'll be able to find it relatively quickly. I don't know what you guys use, if any of you guys decide to do any kind of sports betting or something like that. But personally, I do and I don't. Like, remember when it first became legal? We're going off on a little bit of a tangent here. When it first became legal, you got the, deposit $5, get $250 in bonus bets, right? Everybody's familiar with that. You see it all the time. I did that. And then I say, you know what? I'm going to just take all the winnings out. I won, so I don't even remember how much. So I took everything out but like $2. And since then, I haven't made any deposit. I just make like 10-cent bets every now and then. I think I've gotten that $2 back up to $14 though. So hey, sometimes I know what I'm talking about. I got the odds now for the Stanley Cup. The Dallas Stars, as I said, are the favorites, followed by the Edmonton Oilers. That's interesting. Then it's the Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, Toronto Maple Leafs, Winnipeg Jets. And the Washington Capitals are the longest shot to win the Stanley Cup. Pretty interesting, if you ask me. Considering they were one of, if not the best team in the regular season. So that's interesting. Carolina and Washington, game number 5 later on tonight. Carolina is favored in this game. I do believe we're going to see Washington starve off elimination, though, and take the series back to Carolina. We're going to go to our final commercial break of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. One segment to go. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs when we come back. They've been okay. Not as good as the NHL. Never as good as the NHL. But they've been all right. So we'll talk about the NBA after this. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this. welcome back to the Scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment on this Friday. A reminder, this episode was pre-recorded. You probably were able to tell based on last segment. But we're going to talk about the NBA and the biggest story of the day, or I guess of the week, because this was earlier in the week. The NBA draft lottery. Now, I personally have never submitted to the theory that sports are rigged, that the draft lotteries are fixed, that the games are fake and the outcome is. I've never, ever considered that to be a possibility. I find those people to be outrageous. Honestly, and if you're one of them, you're outrageous. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it like it is. You're outrageous. Sports are not fixed. It's completely and highly illegal to do that. But I don't think a moment has ever made me go, quite like the NBA draft lottery. And let me tell you, the rumors are swirling, and I don't blame them. The poor Hornets, man. I don't know what to think or what to do about the NBA draft order here. Charlotte, one of the worst teams in the league this year, tied for the best odds to win the rights to draft Cooper Flagg. Charlotte drafts fourth this year. Fourth. Oh, man, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. The team with the highest, or I guess I should say lowest odds, the worst odds to win the number one pick, the second worst odds, based on a coin flip with Houston, was the Dallas Mavericks. They were the second lowest odds to win the draft lottery, and lo and behold, the Dallas Mavericks have the number one overall pick and have won the right to draft Cooper Flagg. Boy, are the rumors swirling. This comes after a winter where Luka Doncic got traded away from the Dallas Mavericks. I'm still thinking of hockey. I apologize. Over to the Lakers. In return, what did they get, right? And they definitely got Anthony Davis, draft picks, things like that. But you have a team that traded away their best player. The fans have been protesting outside the arena for so long now. Fans are not happy about what the Dallas Mavericks decided to do. And I don't blame them. Mark Cuban's also not happy, but unfortunately he's not majority owner anymore. He doesn't have a say. He said that he never would have traded Luka. Well, after the Luka trade, Dallas got into the play-in tournament. They did not win their play-in game, though. So that put them into the NBA draft lottery. And they win the lottery. Man, that has a lot of people scratching their heads. And I really don't blame them at this point. The popular theory right now, and I don't know if I don't believe it. I don't want to believe it. But the popular theory right now is that the NBA told the Dallas Mavericks and said, sorry, Luka's got to get out of town. Send him to LA and we'll help you out. And that help came in the form of the draft lottery. I don't know if I believe that. I don't want to believe that. But my goodness, when you see something like this where the team with the second lowest chance to get the number one pick wins the draft lottery just a couple of months after they traded away their star player in a very controversial way, it just things that make you go, that's all it is. So the Dallas Mavericks, they get the number one pick, followed by the San Antonio Spurs, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Charlotte Hornets. I was talking to some of my friends the other day, and I said over under 5.5 years, 5.5 years before the Hornets are relocated again. I want to say over. I really want to say over, but my goodness, it's tough sledding, man. If you're a Hornets fan, I feel so bad. I mean, I follow the Hornets. I wouldn't call myself a big super fan of the Hornets, but my goodness, that's so unfortunate. It really is. I was thinking, if the NBA wanted to fix the lottery, a good way to do it would be, Cooper Flagg, he went to Duke, Carolina, or Charlotte, I should say, not far away. Let's give Charlotte the number 1 pick. Nope. And a reminder, I said it at the beginning of the segment, fixing the lottery is a felony. It is illegal. You cannot do it. The only sport that is allowed to be fixed is the WWE. But they're classified as entertainment, I believe, and they have like a special rule. That's also why I'm pretty sure you can't place bets on the WWE. It would be pretty funny if you could. Maybe you can, and I just don't know. I never grew up watching the WWE. Never was a wrestling person, so I don't know exactly how it works. But I do know that, yes, what they do in the ring is real, but the outcomes are predetermined. It's all a skit. This has been a known thing for a while now. But man, I feel really bad for the Charlotte Hornets fans and front office and anybody that's a Hornets fan, really. I feel bad. Other than that, though, we do have NBA playoffs going on, so it's not like it's just the lottery going on right now. We do have playoffs to talk about. Last night, for me at least, the Minnesota Timberwolves finished off the gentleman's sweep of the Golden State Warriors. Oklahoma City in the West leads the Nuggets 3-2. You also have the Pacers, who dominated the 1-seed Cavaliers. We'll see Cleveland back again. The story of the year, or of the playoffs, I should say, is injuries. And that's really what derailed Cleveland this year. Then the New York Knicks up 3-2 against the Boston Celtics. Now, I feel like the Nuggets can tie the series against the Thunder. But that Knicks-Celtics series is scaring me. I am self-proclaimed a Knicks fan. I don't feel confident being up 3-1. I feel almost as confident for the Knicks being up 3-1 against the Boston Celtics as I did for the New York Rangers last year when they were up 3-0 on the Carolina Hurricanes. I was like, this doesn't feel good. Like, I know we only need one win, but it doesn't feel like it. The Celtics were able to win Game 5 last night in dominating fashion. Obviously, the big story, Jason Tatum, is he going to be okay? Is he going to see the court again this year? What is the diagnosis? I don't know. I'm sorry. The diagnosis, by the way, was an Achilles injury. So keep that in mind. The injury, I don't know how long he'll be out. He'll probably miss most of next year. And is this going to be a career-changing injury? Is this going to be a team-altering injury? You got to keep that in mind. So Jason Tatum with the torn Achilles, it does make it a little bit easier for the New York Knicks, in my opinion. Tatum, one of the better players, Team USA, all that, but he didn't play. That's still a wild one to me. But the New York Knicks up 3-2 now as we await to see what the conference championship games are going to be. Real quick, before we get to the end of the program, we got to go over some things that happened on this day in sports history. So let's go ahead and start with some early things. MLB Pirates. Pittsburgh Pirates win 1-0 over the Reds on this day, 2022. What's interesting about that is Pittsburgh got no hits. They were no hit, and they won 1-0. 2022. Let's see, what else do we have? Anything fun? Anything fun on this day? This is not fun. 1989, U.S. basketball cancels its summer schedule. Let's see what else we got. I got a short list today. 1941, on this day, Joe DiMaggio began his 56-game hitting streak with only an RBI and a hit, one hit and an RBI in a 13-1 loss. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. I'm out of time. See ya.